Hello, everyone. How are you doing? We are going to talk about innovation once again. My guest is the president of the Technological Research Institute, and he's also professor at ITA. Welcome, Jefferson de Oliveira Gomes.
Hi, Rosanna. How are you? It's an honor to be talking to you.
Jefferson, the Technological Research Institute has existed for 122 years now, always looking for innovation. Can you tell us a little bit more about the history of the Institute and also what are you doing right now?
This is a good question. If you look at the timeline, we're almost as old as the Republic of Brazil itself. Cities were emerging and growing, especially the city of São Paulo, where the institute was born. And it was born due to the need of the population, a population that was growing around the area of Anhangabaú, Tamanduateí. There were tamanduás in the area, tamanduás, the anteaters. And the city was growing in that region. Populations were growing around the area. These are lowlands, so the rivers would go full. The institute was born due to the needs of the population for basic sanitation and also to help constructions, what we call works of art, like bridges and highways. And time went by. When the institute was around 50 years old, Brazil was developing, the industry was coming to Brazil, and we started to specialize in steel and iron, metals in general, that were being used in construction. So it is another reason for population to grow. The country was developing and we were growing around that area. Then there was the time of the alcohol engine automobile. And in the end of last century, we got to the area of biotechnology. And this is what links us to clubbing. Also for the development of the field, for of productions of agriculture in general, and the institute became strong in the area of genetics. Development comes that way. So there's a need of population, be it a good one or a bad one. For example, the cities are decaying, there are landslides, so the institute is there. We need to replant, we need new materials, we need biotechnology. The institute is there. It is in our daily life or in the life of all people, even though people don't see it.
To do this beautiful work of building a society, you need capable, qualified people. You are professor at ITA University. You need to work with very good people. Do we have capable and qualified people in Brazil?
Oh, we certainly have. If we think of mathematics, remember the Gauss curve that goes like this. Our average in Brazil is too big with lots of good people. Brazil has a big population. We find great talents everywhere in Brazil. The difference is that we have to encourage talents to be developed. You need to give motivation to them. And certainly, innovation is a natural habitat to develop talents.
Do you think that here in Brazil we have this interest, this worried about investing in science and technology so we can have a more innovative environment? Comparing to other countries such as United States, China, Israel, we don't have a big investment in science and technology, right?
There's something funny here. Maybe it has to do with the mind model, so to speak. If you take the GDP, only the GDP, and you see how much the country invests and has been investing for years in science, technology, and innovation, especially science and technology, you will find around the same percentages. The fact is that the United States and China have more money but the percentage is the same. What is different is the percentage of the companies. Why do companies invest so little? Maybe I might be mistaken, but maybe there is a gap between what is researched and the demands of society. I always say that the IPT exists because of the demands of society, uh, problems of developing medications and advanced materials for the country or for population in general. This is something that there might be a gap around that. But the great thing is, I learned one thing. For you to develop innovation, it has there is a very simple equation. It's invention and market. Market is people. We have people. People need things, so we have a market, and there's always people needing something. The other part, invention, it is made of talent, and talent is the capacity to develop deep knowledge about something, the capacity to associate things, and the capacity to build networks. So you need to have a deep knowledge of society and things around us, and the capacity to solve problems. You can only do that if you have a combination which translates in creativity. For creativity, you need two factors. You need respect to diversity and respect to contradictions. When you have strong contradictions, you have fantastic diversity, you have applied knowledge and understanding the market, and you build networks, you will succeed, but you cannot lose any of them. So will succeed. If you apply that to Brazil, you see many places where you can do that. So it's not a problem of the country, it's a problem of the mind model.
Okay, and how does the institute align its research with the society demands?
Well, this is a very good question. We usually think that a researcher has a lot of knowledge about a topic, so they know everything that society needs. This is not true. It's not true. The researcher can do their job pretty good if they meet the needs of population. Let's take the unified health system in Brazil as an example. It was created around 1988, and it was a project that was developed for the needs of society. If you had a problem in Vitória, for example, you twisted your ankle, and then you come to Belo Horizonte, and then you are nauseated, and then you will have one diagnostics, and then you are work in São Paulo, you get dizzy. If you get the three cases in isolation, you will have three different diagnostics. But if you take the three together, you can suspect that you have diabetes. So the system was created to integrate that, to integrate platforms. You use various platforms today like Airbnb, Uber, and at that time they already had that integration of different doctors, medical reports, and protocols. It is a very good thing. The difference is that with the pandemic, researchers need to detect the failures of health systems in the world, to develop appliances to apply artificial intelligence. When you take an endoscopic exam, for example, uh, lots of cases are detected with the equipment. So if you have artificial intelligence that can detect some behaviors in an image, you can easily have a diagnostics, and you're not doing anything differently. You are using technology. What I mean is, if we take these people, they have a very good education. A mathematics specialist, for example, how can you bring them to a demand of population? We have a demand, and well, I need you to apply your knowledge to the problems of society. It is not only about a technological problem. If we get all our researchers to solve problems of society, and then you take their specific knowledge and integrate them to that environment, each one has their own knowledge, we will solve many problems with that. We developed fans, we developed quick tests. The IPT worked in over 50 projects during the pandemic, more than 50 projects helping companies across the country.
And there was also a very important aspect of this period, the speed of the process. We needed to find solutions in real time. The world was changing. We would wake up with a new technology, a new need. This environment, when it's at boiling point, this is more favorable for innovation.
Yeah, it certainly is. Innovation is geared by a demand of society. You don't push technology. The technologies of smartphones, they are not new, they are pushed. I mean, no, they are not pushed, they were demanded. Technologies that existed for developing materials. Let me give you an example, a practical example. There's a surface which is the base of a material called copper. On itself, it kills bacteria, it kills microbes. The industry has never been demanded for that. At IPT, we started researching copper plates for use in hospitals. It sounds very simple, but this type of demand is what characterizes innovation as a whole. There needs to be a market, there needs to be a specific application. Otherwise, it's mere invention.
Deduzir então do seu raciocínio que a partir de agora, né, o pós-pandemia, a gente vai ver sistema de saúde mais eficiente, não só no Brasil como no mundo todo?
You'll see an explosion of that, not only a more efficient health system. You know why? Because of the human factor. I honestly don't believe in this goodness of human beings. We have three pillars for sustainability: social, environmental, and economic. What did we notice? If there's a problem, which is a social problem, a health problem, this affects the economic factor. We have a serious problem around the world. And in Brazil, because of the abundance, it is more sensitive, which is the environment. It impacts what? The economy. When these two factors are impacted, they generate positive results in the future. It is human nature. The automobile, for example, when it emerged, it had emerged for 30 years, but cities like London and New York had around 400,000 horses. Every horse produces 17 kilograms of manure a day. 400,000 horses, 17 kilograms of manure. And humans need three factors. You need to have food, you need to avoid plagues, and you need to store things. This comes from the agricultural revolution. So the plague is very serious, and you know what we see now. So plagues emerged in the cities, and the automobile came to solve a health problem, and the smoke generated by it is a later problem. An automobile produces around 400 tons of dirt in their life cycle, and another 400 tons is used in producing the car, in the manufacturing of the car. So the result is that this model of automobile will change. It's not because we think the electric car is better. It is a matter of public health. So it's always like that. We need to meet our needs, and technology comes to solve problems, not to be pushed.
So maybe the COVID-19 pandemics can be the key for us to solve climate change.
Absolutely. There's one thing for sure. There's the attraction. You need to attract for you to generate economy. You will need better health systems, and the very movement of society around a factor, not only because of what is happening due to the pandemic, but also the environmental issues. Look at the seas, for example. What happens in the seas is very serious. There will be a lot of impact, and this will impact technology development.
Now, Jefferson, can you tell us more about the IPT Open Experience? Is a innovation hub, and what is the difference between it and this ambitious goal of the government of turning the west zone of São Paulo into a new Silicon Valley? Is it possible?
Well, first of all, it won't be a Silicon Valley. It will be the Pinheiros River Valley with its own life, its own story. Silicon Valley is there, Dublin is there, Adelshof in Berlin is there. They all have their own characteristics, their own environmental characteristics. They have startups, they have big companies, investment funds, and science and technology institutions. They have the government, they have everything around them. The difference is that they have different characteristics. They are ecosystems of innovation. So we understand ecosystems as something that have animals and vegetables, but we also have predators and prey. All the time. What we need to do in order for an ecosystem to exist is to control the populations, the size of the populations. If we only have startups but we don't have big companies, it won't work. If I don't only have big companies and I don't have startups, it won't work either. It is worth noting that in 2018, a law was passed, the 13243. It is the legal framework for innovation. Together with that, another law, 13303. It rules compliance characteristics of private companies in the public sector. So there is one that arrests and the one that releases, so to speak. You need to shape them. So we're in São Paulo, 3 kilometers from Butantan. You will have 40% of the technology startups in Brazil. 40%. You will have the GDP of Brazil on Avenida Paulista, in Berrini, and a great university with the University of São Paulo and Butantan Institute. So this is the nervous system, an economic center in Brazil. In Brazil, high education, the population in high education is 16%, but in this area, and which includes Paraisópolis and other communities, is 40%. Also technician courses. Will have a lot of space for growth around the area, and it has been like that for some time. With the difference is with the legal framework, you have the rules. You need laboratories for startups, for example. If you want to build sensors to be applied in 5G systems, in automobiles, so you need spaces to test. You need equipment, hard tech, technology with high added value. You need that. It's very expensive. In the last few years, and it doesn't matter who was in office, who was the party, the ruling party, you had a lot of investment in technology and science. So we have these big laboratories that could be shared with companies and startups. So if I have a startup or a big company like Klabin, they can invest in that company or in that startup and use IPT, and IPT can be a partner of that startup. When the startup is sold, you can create a revenue for the country. So this whole integration is important. So we raise the capital of that region, not only for the institute, for the region. And this is about the GDP. We have pilot plants for building things.
Very good. I would love to talk more with you. You gave us very innovative visions and projects. It was very nice having you here in our festival. I wish you a lot of luck in your work, and I hope to talk to you in a new opportunity.
Yeah, come and visit us. Come and visit IPT when you're in São Paulo. In Butantan, you will see the cool things that take place around the area.
Very good. Thank you for your invitation. See you next time.
All the best.
And you, stay tuned in our Inova Klabin Festival. I'll be waiting for you.